Welcome aboard the Haunted Rail Tour. The tale you're about to hear is inspired by real people and events from our past. But remember, the line between fact and fiction can often blur. While these stories feature figures who walked among us, the events may be embellished or transformed over time, shaping them into the haunting legends we share today. These tales are crafted to entertain and evoke the spirit of adventure, but we encourage you to approach them with a sense of wonder and a healthy dose of skepticism. So keep in mind that not everything you hear is entirely true. The ghosts of our past may have their own stories to tell, but it's up to you to decide what to believe. On Christmas Eve, 1875, the festive spirit of Eureka was abruptly shattered by the tragic drowning of George McFarlan. Arriving in Eureka during the winter of 1850-1851, George, at age 52, had built a life as a respected lumberman and devoted family man. He owned large tracts of land that now form the heart of the city, and was known as one of the first men to log on Ryan Slough. His legacy was felt throughout the town, where McFarlan Street in Myrtletown still bears his name. That fateful night, George was last seen leaving Mr. R.W. Brett's saloon on First Street, cheerfully bidding farewell to friends as he headed toward the Occidental Mill to check on some logs. The night was cold and dark, the waters of Humboldt Bay whispering ominously. As the clock struck midnight, a sense of foreboding settled over the town, unnoticed by the revelers. His body was first discovered floating in the bay by a sailor on board a scow lying at the city wharf about 7 o'clock Saturday morning, Christmas Day. By dawn, the news of his death had swept through Eureka, casting a pall over the holiday festivities. In the years that followed George's untimely demise, strange occurrences began to unfold along the Eureka waterfront. Locals reported sightings of a figure resembling George wandering the docks, his expression a mix of sadness and longing. Witnesses described a man in Victorian clothing, his features indistinct but undeniably familiar to those who knew him in life. On that tragic Christmas Eve, it was believed George had suffered a stroke, an apoplexy that left him confused and bewildered. After speaking with 2 watchmen at the mill, he likely lost his way and stumbled into the bay, where his body was discovered the next morning. The Humboldt Standard lamented the loss, noting the profound grief that enveloped his family and the community. One particularly cold Christmas Eve, a group of friends decided to visit the waterfront, hoping to capture the spirit of the season. As they strolled near where George had fallen, a sudden chill enveloped them, and an eerie silence descended. A soft, mournful voice echoed through the air. The friends looked around, startled. No one was in sight, yet the feeling of being watched was palpable. A gentle breeze rustled the nearby trees, and a faint glow appeared at the edge of the wharf. Drawn by an inexplicable force, they moved closer. There, illuminated by the moonlight, stood the ghostly figure of a man. His eyes shimmered with unshed tears. Suddenly, the ghostly figure raised his hand, pointing toward the water. The friends gasped as they saw a glimmer beneath the surface. As quickly as he had appeared, George's spirit began to fade. From that night forward, the friends returned to the waterfront every Christmas Eve. The town of Eureka began to celebrate George not as a ghostly figure shrouded in sadness, but as a symbol of resilience and community spirit. And so, on quiet nights near the bay, if you listen closely, you might still hear the echoes of George McFarlan. a reminder that those we love never truly leave us. They linger in our memories, guiding us through the shadows of life. This has been a tale from the Haunted Rail Tour. Join us this October in Samoa as we explore the local lore and legends of Humboldt County. Until next time, dear listeners, keep your lanterns lit and don't miss your train.